Welcome to this week's podcast episode. This week, I am going to be talking about your dreams and why they will never ever die. No matter amount of time you keep denying them or pushing them down or making them smaller than they are. And I'm going to explain all of this to you. But first, I want to start off with a story of what happened to me to really bring this to life for you. So when I was in my late teens, early 20s, really starting to look at what did I want to do with the world? What did I want to do with myself? What was my career path? I knew there was something in me that really wanted to help people. I was drawn to jobs like nursing, probation officer, social worker, anything that felt like it was giving something back and helping people. And I started to look into these roles. I actually applied to be a nurse and I was going to go to uni. And there was all these different things I was thinking of doing. In the end, I thought I was going to be a probation officer. And to do that, I needed to wait a couple of years. So I went and got a job in a bank and I was enjoying that and it was great. And there was still something in me that was calling me, something pushing me forward. So over the years, I enjoyed the time in the bank and I didn't go down the route of probation officer, but there was something still calling me forward. I started to look at what that was. Now, the bank showed me that actually I worked with a lot of people coming out of prison, and a lot of people would come into the bank to set up their accounts and things like that. And I started to see that that really wasn't the area of people that I wanted to support. That wasn't calling or lighting up my soul. So that was what made me decide probation officer wasn't the right route for me. But there was things about helping people develop that was really starting to come through. And I seen an advert for a life coach. So it was to train as a life coach. And I went to see a woman in my local town who had set up this business, training people to be life coaches. And I went and spoke to her and it sounded so exciting. It sounded so amazing. And she told me the price and it wasn't too expensive. I mean, probably for that time, it maybe was £3,000 and it was £3,000 that I didn't have. So walking out of there, I felt really excited about it, but also a little bit disappointed because my ego at that point, which I didn't understand what that was, or how it kind of got in the way and blocked me, my ego started to tell me, one, I couldn't afford it, but that didn't really give me that block. I wasn't feeling like I can't make that money or I can't get that in some way. But the other part of me was telling me, who am I to be a life coach in my 20s? Who is going to listen to me? What life's journey or dilemmas, even though I had been through some, but what dilemmas were going to be big enough that I could help other people? And who am I to do that? And that voice really won out. That voice is the one that stopped me moving forward. So I didn't pursue the life coaching. And I went down a route of working in the bank, going through the ranks in the bank, helping others to develop as well. So I was getting that level of coaching and developing others. And I went into leadership in the bank. And again, I learned more about coaching and developing. And eventually I started to feel like that wasn't the route for me. That wasn't what I wanted to do. And I moved into a different role, a different whole career path in training within the nuclear sector. And that was what I was doing. And I was really enjoying it. I was getting a lot more of the development, a lot more of project work, which I loved. And by this time, I got married. I had a lot of financial difficulties through my life. There was a lot of things that I had to overcome, a lot of boundaries I had to learn to set. There was a lot of different things, a lot of challenges. Moving to a different area, I uprooted my whole life and moved to Manchester. I went through different work patterns where I was struggling with managers who were quite toxic. And I had a lot of ups and downs in those times. And between going to see about being a life coach to being a training developer, there was probably about 12 years had passed. And like I said, I got married at that time. And about 2 years into being a training developer, I started to get that itch again. I started to get bored. but I was in a really good company. I was in a company that paid really well, and I felt like I was trapped. I needed to stay in that company. That was where it was. So what career path did I want? And I started to look about different career paths, and project management was something I was going to go into. I thought, yeah, I really want to do that. I love running projects. I love being a part of a project. I love that drive. And there was something calling me to do that. Now, at the time, the job that I'd loved for 2 years was starting to grate on me. It was starting to get harder to be in. I was working with different people who were very different to me. It felt like that old pattern, those old toxic behaviors were starting to come out. And I got the place on the Project Management Academy, and they give me a wait time before starting of 2.5 years. Now, at that point, my whole world crashed down. I'd been in a place where I was so excited to start this new career, to get diving into something that I'd been accepted for. And they told me I had to wait 2.5 years. So I thought, right, I'm going to be stuck in this current role, because part of the acknowledgement that you wanted that position was that you didn't move up a grade. So I was very much stuck in the role I was doing. And my mindset really took a hit. I was in complete victim mode. I was thinking, wow, like this was so exciting. And then you just get knocked back, you get stuck. And this was the time that I thought, I need to start doing something for myself. I need to start doing something out of work that's going to help me feel better, because all of this impact at work was seeping into my home life. There was things in my home life that were really hindering me as well. So there was knockbacks with finances. And I just felt like I would get so far, I would get, to a point where I felt successful, I felt happy, and then everything would start to fall apart again. And that was a bit of a cycle that I thought was playing out in my life. And I started to think, right, what do I enjoy? What am I interested in? And I'd always had an interest in intuition and tarot. Every time I had a problem, so all of these dips in my life, I would go and see a tarot reader. I would go and get some guidance. And I didn't know at that point I was getting guidance from my own soul, but I was getting guidance that I needed, and it would give me that insight and give me that, yes, I can do this, and give me that push. So there was a part of me that thought, I really want to be able to do that for others. I know I'm not going to leave this job to do that. I'm not going to make money at reading tarot, but I want to be able to do that. So I started going to a meditation class and a spiritual development class just once a week. And this started to allow me to tap into that intuition, tap into that soul that had been calling me forward. And eventually I started to learn about different things. So I started to learn about tarot. I started to learn about emotional freedom technique, tapping, which was incredible, because I was going through such a hard time with my own mindset that actually this tapping allowed me to release beliefs that had been going on for a long time, which was that, this pattern of everything gets really good and then it crashes down. And also that other people were better than me. Other people got in before me. And that was a really big one. So emotional freedom technique released a lot for me. And this class also started to bring in other things into my remit. So my mind started to wander to look for other things. And eventually I come across manifestation, and I watched The Secret. And if anybody's listened to the Soulful Badass podcast or read one of the co-authored books I've been part of, you'll know that as soon as I watched The Secret, it was like a lightning bolt going off in my head. It was like something switched. Suddenly I could see that it wasn't all of these things happening to me, and I wasn't stuck. It was all my mindset creating it. It was my mind saying these things on loop. And it was my mind saying that things get good and then they all crash down. And the next day I walked into that job that I was really struggling with, and the people I was really struggling with. And I said to myself, one, this is temporary. And two, I love my job and I love the people I work with. And I said that on repeat. And every time people tried to knock me down or something happened, I would say that I love my job. I love the people I work with. And this is only temporary because there's something bigger coming. And within a month, the people who I was really struggling with, the toxic people, one of them retired, another one moved out the department. And I started to do more exciting work. So I started to learn about web developing. I started to learn about editing videos, editing audios. I started to teach other developers how to do it as well. So the job got really exciting. And outside of work, I started to do a lot more mindset stuff, a lot more around my beliefs, a lot more about positive thinking and shifting your energy. And this was all going on. And I was changing without even realizing. I was changing our whole being because I was moving my mindset absolutely rapidly into this whole new way of being. And the 2.5 years come to an end. And I remember my boss called me into the office to tell me that they were going to keep me for another 3 months. And at this point, I thought, I've already decided I want to do life coaching again. Like that dream come back round. In that time that I'd learned about manifestation and mindset, I started to think I really want to get into coaching. I really want to have my own coaching business. I really want to do this for myself. And I felt those doubts creep in and I was unsure. And I was thinking, well, I need to get more experience in coaching. I need to do more around that. I'm not going to be able to just leave and do a business. So I need to get more practice at that somehow or get more courses under my belt. And I got pulled into the office and got told I was going to be kept for another 3 months. And by this point, I was really annoyed that I was just in this loop of being held back. Because even though I knew deep down I wanted to go and start my business, I wasn't emotionally ready for it. I wasn't mentally ready for it. I was still thinking I needed to stay in this job and this was my place that I was going to really learn more things. So when I was told that I was going to be kept for another 3 months, that lit a fire in my ass. Literally, it was like, who are you to dictate my destiny? I want to do this. Why am I sat here letting other people tell me what or where I should be when I truly want to do something different? And it lit a passion inside of me. And I walked out of that office and I thought, I need to get into this life coaching business. There is something in me. Like, what am I doing? Why am I wasting my time sat here waiting to go to project management, which do I really want to do that now? No. So I come out of that office and I started to look into those courses and I booked myself on a 2-day course to go and talk about life coaching and learn about life coaching. And I booked that and I was determined that that was what I was going to do. I was going to start moving in that direction and stop holding back on my life. So I really booked that day. And then the next thing I was looking on the internet at work and I come across a job for a manager of coaches in the business. Now, I didn't even know they had coaches in the business. So I reached out and wanted to speak to the people involved because I started to think, well, if I have a coaching business, I'm going to do some corporate coaching. So it will be good to know what they do and what they're about. I booked a conversation with the people involved and I went and I started to speak to the woman who was leading this. And she had a life coaching business outside of work. She also used to work for the same bank that I worked for. And she knew all of the coaching and the development that I did within the leadership in there because she was the trainer for all of those coaching and development courses as well. Not for me personally, but she was one of the leads in that area. So she knew exactly what experience I'd had without having the qualifications. And she also said, we've got some full-time coach positions coming out and they're going to be out in a month. My mind was blowing. It was like, oh my God, I'm going to get paid in this company to be a full-time coach and do what I want to do. This is amazing. I was like, great, I'll definitely apply. I applied for that job as soon as it come out. I was so excited, and it was the up level, so I was going to be able to move. And as well, it was a chance for me to start doing what I really wanted to be doing in a what I felt a safe space without having to go and break and leave and do the business. So I applied for the job. I went on my 2-day coaching course as well. That was amazing. And it really helped me get into alignment, remember the stuff that I already knew about coaching. They did a lot of practice sessions in that. So they said, go out and do 10-minute coaching sessions on the GROW model, which you can do with the people here in the group. I had my interview that same week. And what was the exercise I had to do in the interview? A 10-minute live coaching session on the GROW model with the person interviewing me. Things could not have fell into place more perfectly. I got the job. It was amazing. And that job has been incredible. And it has given me that chance to coach and hone those skills and do all those things. And in that time, I've started my business. I started my business outside of work in 2020. I was 37 at that point. So if any of you have been thinking, am I too late? You are never too late. I started my business in 2020 and it is what you see today. It has grown and it has expanded, and I actually make money doing tarot, which you can see. I've brought that element in, but as well, I ended up coaching entrepreneurs because as my business has grown and developed, that is how I've moved into it. The moral of this story and what I really want to share with you is I wanted to be a life coach in my 20s. What I told the universe was I wasn't ready. Who was I to be a life coach? What life challenges had I had that anybody would take me serious? So the universe delivered exactly what I needed. Challenges. They made it hard. They made me go through resistance. They made me go through change. They made me go through heartbreak, heart loss. They really made me go through it in order to give me exactly what I wanted, exactly what I'd asked for. Who was I to help anyone to be a life coach without those challenges? So I got exactly what I wanted. That dream never went away. Your dream will never go away. In the end, the universe got me back on my life path, got me back into the coaching business, got me back onto what I was meant to be doing. That dream that I thought in my 20s, who was I to do that? There was only that life path that I was meant to follow. In my 20s, I knew it. I was called to it. I was always called to it. I was actually a rugby coach when I was in my early teens because I used to play rugby. And then when I couldn't play with the mixed teams anymore, I started coaching the younger teams. So I was a coach at the age of 12. And I kept telling myself, who was I to coach? But that dream just never went away. So from my early 20s, it kept coming back. It come back at Barclays because I was wanting to coach all the time. I wanted to get into training. I wanted to do those things. It was always in me and it was never going anywhere. And the universe was not going to stop until it pulled me back round and pulled me back round to what it is I was meant to be doing. So that dream that you have that you tell yourself you're not good enough for, or who are you to do that? It is not going to go away. You cannot dampen it down. You're just going to create a lot more resistance if you don't follow that path. And that's why people do feel a lot of resistance in their life. You might have had a fleeting thought like, oh, what if I'm to leave work in the next 10 years? And you might be way off retirement and thinking, what? That's not going to be me. But that's the dream, that actually there might be another way. There might be something else I'm meant to be doing. And it's about getting curious when you have them thoughts. It's about going, well, what could that mean? Like, what's being drawn to me? What does that thought even look like? Does it feel exciting? Does it feel, yes, oh my God, that would be amazing? Because that's the energy you've got to follow. That's your life path, your dreams, your desires calling you forward. And the more you ignore them, the more they're going to put you through challenges to get you back on your right path, on that path of what you are meant to be following. So that dream will never, ever die, because if it's big enough, it is a soul contract that you made long before coming to this life. I know that coaching in this lifetime was a soul contract for me. I was meant to learn and experience things and be able to share that with others and teach others and also coach others to how to move through that. That is my life path. That is something that was contracted long before. And I can keep denying that and I can keep moving away from that, but it'll always pull me back in until I've done what I'm meant to be doing. So you get the choice to make it easier. There's pinnacle moments in that story where I made things harder for myself or made things easier. Initially, when I had the dream and I knew I should be doing it, I told myself, who am I to do that? And I also added in, who's going to listen to me who hasn't been through as many challenges as like someone in their 40s. I did used to think, older people go for life coaching. Why would they listen to me? My coaching business, there is no one I coach who is probably my age. Most of them are probably older than me. But it doesn't mean they don't listen to me. It doesn't mean they don't value what I have to say. But in my 20s, I was telling myself that was true. I don't believe for 1 minute it would have been, because even in the bank, I used to manage and line manage people who were older than me. And I still had that level of respect. That was never something that was ever an issue for me. But it was something my ego used to tell me that was. Your ego is not true. It just is not true. And it'll come up in lots of different ways. It'll come up in perfectionism, procrastination, hiding yourself, saying no when you want to say yes. All of these things, it'll hide and be sneaky and keep you away from what it is you're meant to be doing. But you will always get back on track. You will always get back on track. Sometimes it's more painful than others because you have to have a big change and a big shift to get you to wake up sometimes. But what if you could just wake up today? What if you just realized your dream's meant to be bigger than what you thought and let it unfold? That idea of being a life coach is actually only just the surface of the dream now. The dream and the plan is so much bigger. It's already got bigger than that, because I have a coaching business, but I'm also an author. I'm also a podcaster. I have my affirmation deck. I have ideas of being on the stage. I'm going to be running retreats. There is so many things that are coming, and it's not just about one thing and being a life coach. It's huge. It's about helping women get turned on and attract money on their terms. It's about breaking the damn witch wound that we've been held to for years. It is so big. It is global. It is mega. It is going to make a huge impact. Now, if somebody told me that in my 20s, oh my God, I would have been like, hell no. That, who am I to do that? But now I'm like, who am I not to do that? Who am I not to have been through all of this resistance, all of this hurt, all of this heartbreak, and not do something really positive with it? Like, who am I not to? But my attitude then was not that. And if they showed me that dream, oh my God, that would have scared me. But now it's exciting. Now I'm ready. So your job is not to push the dream away. It's to acknowledge what it is and go after it. Because the dream's going to be bigger than what you initially thought. And it's not your job to manage that. It's not your job to think, well, can I do that? Your job is about getting ready in your mindset, getting ready in your ability to receive more, getting ready for what is about to unfold, because it is going to be bigger. But you have a choice. It was like me when I got pulled into that office and told I had 3 more months in that role. I could sit back and let somebody else dictate my destiny, or I could stand up and choose and say, hell no, that is not for me. I'm going after what I desire. And this is the choice you've got. Going full on what you desire, or choosing someone else to run your destiny. Because the universe ultimately will get you back to where you need to be. So choose now and make it a hell of a lot easier than you ever thought possible. So that is why when you're in the flow, when you are going for what you desire, when you are following that dream, everything feels like it drops into alignment. Like this opportunity comes and that opportunity and that opportunity. And you're like, oh, is this luck? Is this synchronicity? Is this coincidence? No, it's choice. Choice to get into alignment. Your choice to finally follow what it is that you're meant to be doing. And as soon as you do that, everything gets so easy. If things haven't been easy for you in your life, you've been choosing the harder path. Now is time to choose that alignment. Now is time to go after those dreams, because they are never going to go away. They're going to circle back round and circle back round and circle back round, just like mine did. And you cannot deny it. If you have that soul contract, if you have that soul path in place, you cannot break it. It's not going anywhere. It's yours to have in this lifetime. So please choose you, choose that aligned path, and go after what you want. And if you need support on any of this, please go to the links. They'll tell you exactly what is happening in my world at the moment and how to get involved in it. If you want to follow more, make sure you go to Instagram, TikTok, all of the socials. I am everywhere. You will find me. And have the best week, but say yes to what it is you want to say yes to. Before we go, we will get an affirmation card from my Becoming Unstoppable deck. And let's see what it wants to say. The only approval I need is my own. I live boldly and unapologetically. The only approval I need is my own. I live boldly and unapologetically. You don't need permission to go after your dreams. You don't need permission to follow your life path. No one's permission is going to stop you. You need to start moving forward. You need to be bold. This is your time. Catch you soon.